going on YouTube? It's Bob from Black Flag Barbering. Today I'm going to attempt a men's long haircut. So I really struggle with doing long hair in the shop. Not one of my strong suits. So today I looked up a bunch of YouTube tutorials. I found one I liked. I'm gonna try and do it and see what happens, to see what you guys think. So come along, let's get to it. Alright, so we're going to jump straight into it. Before I start, I am no expert. I'm making these videos just to show you, me progressing and hopefully getting better at my craft. I've been barbering for about almost 2 years now. I've been taking it seriously for about a year. And yeah, so the next couple of years I definitely want to progress in what I'm doing. So this is why I'm doing these videos, just so I have something to come back to, and hopefully someone sees this and may see my progression or see that I'm doing something different that they can use in the shop. Alright, so we're going to take our profile section. We're going to bring it out at 90 degrees. I've got the head forward, just leaning a little bit so I can get a nice clean cut on the nape there. What I find with this is you have to hold it quite tight. If you have any loose bits and stuff, it definitely makes the hair move. So you want to hold the hair out at 90 and keep it nice and tight when you're cutting through. This is my first time doing this, so I'm having a hard time sort of figuring out how to use the razor. But I mean, it's pretty sharp. It'll work itself out. Also struggling to keep some clean sections. You can see here, I can already see that I've accidentally pulled it down a little bit, so that's going to create some graduation, but it's as long as it's like close enough, so when you go through and you do your cross sectioning, it's not going to take too much time. Like, this is still already pretty good. You can see here I'm still taking out. You can see my section underneath, how I pull my fingers out just that little bit. You can see my section under there, and that's where I'm cutting. This bit here, this is when you always have an easier side and a harder side. This is definitely my harder side, I find. And you can see here I'm struggling again. But as I progress through this haircut, I definitely start to figure out how to keep the sections a little bit cleaner. Definitely harder on longer hair too. And for these bits here, I think I probably should have over directed just a little bit, just so I have a little bit more hair to play with. And now I'm just going through, doing a little bit of cross section. Sorry about the camera there, I'm still figuring out how to lock cameras and stuff. This is I'm still new to this YouTube thing. And just on the nape of the neck there, I'm just taking off all those long scraggly bits. You gotta be really careful if you're doing this on a person, because if they have any lumps or bumps, you're still using a razor, it's just gonna chop those things straight off. As you can see there, it's nice and clean. Now going through and just do a little bit of cross sectioning. Alright, so I'm going to take my first section for the side. It's going to be a diagonal back section. And the way we're going to get the length on the side here is we're going to pull it out and try and keep it as level as possible with the back and just cut it even. You might have to do this by eye, that little bit won't pull across, but usually on a head, there's a little bit of hair in between the ear and the back of the head. You can just pull it out. Like this bit here, this is a little bit easier. Just going to pull it out 90 degrees from the head. And this time we're doing horizontal sectioning instead of vertical sectioning through the back. So already right here I was struggling, man. You can see I cut out a lot of things, but man, I was frustrated. I kept pulling it out, the hair kept slipping, and that was annoying the absolute shit out of me. I got mad respect for the people that can do this super clean. After this video, I'll link the original video that I'm learning this haircut off, so you guys can see how it's done properly by a professional. And see how it's done by someone trying to imitate. So here I am looking for my guidelines underneath, cutting back through. I think my razor starts to go blunt halfway through this haircut as well, and I find it a little bit harder to get those cleaner cuts, but I think I'm doing alright with it. Gets there in the end. So here I can already see too that I'm sort of over directing it down a little bit, and some bits I'm elevating up too high. So here you got to really keep your consistency, and I learnt this with I think it's the other side I do. I sort of figure out that elevation a little bit more, so I'm staying a bit more consistent. I'm going to working from the side all the way around to the back of the head slightly. Uh, Also, I figured out halfway through I don't want to take too big a sections. It's a little bit easier if you have the smaller sections and you can see your what do you call it? Your guide halfway through your previous section. And here we go. Now it's starting to take shape a little bit. You can see that, you know, if you blow dried that, that would look too bad. And here we go on this side. I decided to take it up a little bit more with those sectionings, just because I found it a little bit hard last time, just to get it nice and even. You see here I'm taking it a little bit more serious with this side. I've figured it out that little bit more, and you can see that everything is looking a little bit more symmetrical on this side. These guides have been taken a little bit cleaner, I guess you would say. So you can see there where I'm elevating it, it's all coming to the same spot. I sort of figured out the movement of the razor as well. I'm cutting through this hair a lot cleaner now. I think I'd have to do this haircut definitely a few more times. Like, I would say maybe 20, 50 more times to really feel comfortable with it, I reckon. And if someone come into the shop with long hair like this, I'd probably just do it all by scissors. I would probably not bring out the razor for it until I get more confident, that's for sure. So you can see here where I'm using my thumb to pick up the hair and kind of pull at it a little bit. If you just like scratch at it, it doesn't really do anything. You need something to pull the hair up into the blade. And look at that, look how clean that is compared to the other side. You know, just looking at that, it's looking a lot better, you know, not as much weight going through it. Everything's looking nice and clean, I guess you would say. And I'm sorry if I'm just rambling on saying stupid stuff as well. It is so hard to like talk and fill in the gaps. Here we go, still elevating it out, 90 degrees horizontal sectioning. And here I'm taking out the back. And here we're going to do just pulling everything to the perimeter of the hair. So we're going to do some diagonal sectioning through the back. And I've never really I guess you'd say sectioned the crown off like that. Usually I just go in and do it by eye, but this was really good. This leaves a lot of length through the crown, so you don't cut too much off. Sometimes when I do the crown in the shop, you'd have like holes in the crown and little bits sticking up. This makes sure that when you're cutting it, there's enough length there to keep the crown sitting down. So I think I'm going to start using this a little bit more. This is a technique that I'll probably start using in the shop, even when I'm cutting scissors and stuff. You see here I'm using that thumb action again, just to get those little scraggly bits. And this is me just going back and having another dip at it. I could see that there was a couple of centimeters there I just needed to take off. So now I'm going to check the sides. You can see the first bit I did is way out of whack. That's so much longer than the other side. So now I'm going to go through and just clean it up a little bit, take off what I need. See, that's what happens when you pull too much hair and it becomes graduated. You create a lot of length and weight. So when you're doing this, just take your time with it. So now we're just drying it all off, making sure it's nice and clean. I can already see through that back bit there. I'm going to have to go through and just clean it up a little bit. But now it's ready for the top. I'm going to deal with all that stuff later. We're going to go through and check everything. So now we're going to take our profile part down the middle. This is a nice horizontal parting through the back here. And we're going to use the crown of the head. We're going to use the apex of the longest bit there to get our length on the top. So you don't want it too short at the top because you want it all to go back. And here's where I'm a lot more comfortable. I'm a lot more comfortable using my scissors, as you can see. A lot more control. Just make sure that your sections aren't too thick, especially when you're using this long hair. You know, you don't want too much in. Here's it. This is what I love doing, actually. This is probably one of my more favorite things. It's just using the scissors and cutting along, especially once you know what length you're cutting to. And see where the head starts around there? I don't want to follow the shape of the head. I want to pull it up nice and square, keep it nice and tight. Sometimes I have a tendency to accidentally follow the round of the head. Like, I'm pretty sure at the front here I do it slightly, but I'm trying to keep it nice and level. You can see I'm bringing my hand down too. My elbows aren't flared out. I'm keeping everything nice and tight to the body. So this is the next section. We're just going to pull each section into the next. And I just realized that we want it nice and textured through the top as well. So we don't want to be able to see our scissor lines. We don't want to see any demarcation of scissors. So we're going to go through and just do some point cutting through the top. And I suck at this. I always seem to cut my knuckle. I know at barber school and a few other people I've worked with say don't cut past that first knuckle, but man, it just takes too much time. Plus, I'm a rebel in the shop. You just gotta cut, especially when you're under the pump and you're like 10-15 minutes behind. You just want to get through it. So you can sort of see here where I think I'm starting to graduate it a little bit too much. I might have taken a bit too many sections, but this is where you just go through and cross-check and go in through horizontally, and you can see the little bits that need trimming off, so that's not too crazy. So now we're just going to connect the back and the top, so we're just going to bring it out. You can see where I've already cut from the crown, and I just need to take off those little bits. And now we are going to take another section. I think this is going to be my horseshoe parting through the top. I'm also really sorry if I'm getting some of this terminology mixed up. I'm still learning it, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Yeah. So this is going to be my horseshoe parting through the top. I'm going to keep that out of the way, so that's not going to be annoying me as I go through and clean up these sides a little bit more. Now you can already see that it's not perfect. There are a lot of weight lines and stuff through it, but this is where I'm going to go through and do some detailing. So once it's dry, I'm just going to connect the top to the sides as well. You can sort of see that little bit of overhang. Now, I really struggle with that side, but here I've cut the top. I've cut the sides and the top, so they're all connected now. It's sort of connected, disconnected. It's not fully connected, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but here I am. I'm just going to dry it off, try and get as much volume into it as possible. You can sort of see the haircut is coming together now. There's a lot of texture through it. This is the Gamma IQ hairdryer I'm using as well, by the way. So now I'm just going through and taking out these little thick bits around the side. This is where some more detailing comes in. I've never really detailed with a razor before, so this is all new to me. Here I'm going through and just point cutting with my scissors and trying to make a better shape. And this is the end of the haircut, the end result. As you can see, it's meant to be a very, uh, I guess, textured kind of haircut, very slick back textured. This probably work well with someone who's got a little bit of movement and stuff through their hair. If I could go back, I would definitely put product in it. This is all dry at the moment, so it's not sitting the best when I shake it up. But here you can see the silhouette of the hair a little bit better. And I think it's not bad for my first try, you know? I mean, I've definitely seen worse, I've definitely done worse, and I'm happy to get better at my craft. So leave some comments down below, tell me what you think. I know my audio isn't the best, I know the editing isn't the best, but this is one of my first proper videos, and they're only going to get better from here on out the more I do them. And man, it is weird talking into the camera by itself. So man, I take my hat off to YouTubers that do this on the daily. And yeah, thanks guys, I'll see you soon.